So this chart that we're looking at here is a weekly chart, and it is Bitcoin and the NASDAQ. So we can see that there's a pretty good correlation between the two at the moment. We could say that, you know, from those highs there. So we could also say too, within reason, that whatever the NASDAQ did, well then Bitcoin wouldn't be far behind it, you know. I mean, after all, some of the top end town kind of consider it, you know, they don't know it deeply as perhaps some of the red eyes, but they consider it a tech stock in that space. And that's probably why we're seeing, you know, the futures market, sort of the paper market, dominate the spot market in terms of amounts of money, leverage on these things. But anyway, that's just, you know, just gives us some sort of idea of, you know, that correlation. It's not perfect, but it's sort of on the right track, isn't it? Okay, so today we're going to have a look at the bearish side of Bitcoin and the bearish side of the US stock markets. We'll use the S&P for that. And then we'll look at the bullish counts for Bitcoin and those sort. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we'll do. So the S&P 500. What would be the bearish count here? Well, on my charts here on the 50k tick chart, the 50k and the 1k, I keep the bearish counts and the bullish counts over here for that. So the S&P and the NASDAQ are pretty much the same to a point. I know that you'd probably scream at me and say that's not true, and you're probably right. But in a nutshell, they've kind of got the same sort of little pattern going on here. So if it was going to be a bearish scenario, then we would need, first of all, to see 5 waves down here, and then a wave 2, and then a 3, 4, and 5 in that kind of that would be the bearish count, and would be looking for a low at that point. Now we also have a bullish count that can also give us 5 waves down here, that can also come down here, check out these lows here, and then push off from that point. So we've got a bullish count in that line, which is, I won't go into it because you can see that in any of the other indices videos, and it's kind of considering what the US dollar is doing in that space as well. So that's the bearish count. So how would this line up with Bitcoin? What would be the bearish count for Bitcoin? Because that's what we really need to understand, isn't it? I mean, if we want to go long or start buying BTC or any of the others, then we need to know what the bearish count would be. And the bearish count would be something like this here, with a wave 3 over here, an A wave and a B wave and a C wave over here. And in fact, we could actually lift this up here a little bit higher for this, but if it goes up too high, then it's not going to be correct at this point. So if we take that wave 2 here and wave 3 here, that low of wave 3, well, roughly speaking, you can do your own homework. We can take the wave 4 back up to the 38.2% retracement level. So it's possible for this to have this as 1 and 2, which will be also looking at 3, 4, and 5 up here, and then come down at that point and have one more low in here for BTC. Is that possible? Is that plausible? Well, you know, let's just see how strong the US dollar gets, and what the NASDAQ and the S&P do in that case, you know. But we can't rule that out. The other thing that probably a little bit more realistic, I think, is putting wave 4 back over here and looking at wave 5 down here. Now, we all know that the move down here has been, you know, it's been very awkward and a little bit difficult to count. And in fact, a lot of folks have put this wave 4 over to here to make it a little bit easier for themselves. And I understand all of that. I understand that there's an issue here. And when you've got an issue, it's better to just stand back and try to accommodate it the best you can. And what I like to do is I like to look around a little bit, you know. So if I go and have a look at other markets, this is, just bear with me while I just put this in here. This is, well, this is actually a stock, really. You know, the miners. So, but in this case, we can see that this has got a cleaner move down here. Now, point being is that it also doesn't, I mean, I can see we've got a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, but it doesn't give me 5 waves from the top here. So that means that this is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the A wave, some sort of B wave to even this point, and then moving up here. It doesn't even finish off very nicely. So this doesn't finish off very nicely. What about Riot here? Well, Riot's a little bit better, so we could actually squeeze, say, wave 1 out of this, then an A wave and a B wave to here and a C wave to here. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That fits nicely. So that's, you know, I'm just looking around the block to see what's what. It doesn't mean that it's bullish and going up from that point. I mean, it's making a move. The volume looks good. Everything's sort of tickety-boo. You know, it's quite good there. Coming back to Mara's little move up here. Volume, good. Sideways pattern here, good. You know, that can push up from here. Yeah, so it's all quite, you know, there's some good things. So there's basically, you know, other tokens. This is not a token, of course, but there's other tokens that have got very clear lows in place, you know, and they have started to build from here. So I think there's a good case to say that whichever way you want to view this situation here as here or here, I mean, because there's a case here looking at this as wave 1 here and ABC for 2 here, 3 into this bar, 4 to here and 5 to here. Now, I see that in some other markets quite clearly, and that suits quite nicely. I mean, I think the futures market was like that, the CME futures. But let's just assume for a moment we've got some other issues here to work with as well. So what we're actually seeing now is, in one way or another, we're seeing 5 waves up. Now we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here for this. We could look at that as 5 waves up here already. But it does appear that we're going to be going a little bit higher here. And we'll take a look at this in a moment. If we were moving up here, we've still got this issue here of looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, or 4 to here and 5 to here, whichever way you want to look at that. So that 5 waves here, that means that we'd need to, if we've got 5 waves here, then we'd need to look at this as an A wave here, a B wave over here for this, and a C wave up here for this. Well, another way to look at that, really, the better way to look at it would be like this here. So a bigger correction unfolding to the upside here on this note. So I'm just shooting the breeze. It doesn't really make, you know, a lot of difference at this particular point in time. We just, you know, the idea is to put all the patterns on the table and then eliminate them one by one. So if I was thinking of this particular pattern based on because that is the high, and that is 5 waves down here. I mean, you can WXY this and pull the joker out of the hat and have a giggle on the way down, but and change it into a corrective pattern. You could do that. You could also look at this here in terms of, you could put the A wave over here. There's a case for this, and a B wave over here, and a C wave down here for that. Well, it probably wouldn't be like that either. It would be more like 1 degree higher. So really, I should put this over to here and this over to here, and then we've got a nice ABC, and that feels a little bit more comfortable at this point, you know. And there's a good case for looking at this as an A and a B and a C in here. There's also a case of looking at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 up here as well. So there's different ways to look at all of this. So my way of trying to solve these riddles, you know, because a lot of the time, a lot of the Elliott folks, and no disrespect to anybody, I've got my own issues, my own problems, is that sometimes we tend to, we sort of overlook something or other and not sort of concern ourselves with it, kind of sticking our head in the sand, really, you know, and then we focus on sort of other things. And I'm aware of my shortcomings, so I try to acknowledge them and justify them along the way. So if I looked here, for example, and put this B wave up here and then the C wave over here, and looked at these 5 waves down here, and we know that the NASDAQ is you know, in sync with this particular market, then I would think to myself, well, where would the NASDAQ be at this time? Where would Apple be? Where would be Nvidia? Where would some of these big tech stocks be at this particular point in time? You know, how do we go about you know, looking at those? You know, I mean, the Apple is pretty much the you know, the stock market in lots of ways, and this is Apple here. So if we looked at Apple, say if this is wave one up here, which is a good case for that, by the by, so that would so we would be looking at this one more move up here. We could look at this here as an A wave here, and a B wave here, and a C wave up here for that. So yeah, I mean, we could do that. We could view all of this as some massive correction, as a W here and an X over here and a Y back over here. That we can't throw it out. I mean, this is one of the stronger stocks in the market. So it's possible that we can have an ABC pattern up here for that. It's not out of, you know, it's not out of sync with everything at this particular point in time. I don't think it's the case. I think that if we start here, that we'll keep on going. But I don't want to get lost in that. If we were going up there, we need to know all the counts that we've got at this particular point in time. So this would be one of them here for this, looking at it as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave. Like I said, one of the good things here is that we are getting 5 waves here. And we can look at that in a couple of different ways. So first of all, if we just go to the daily chart, we're still sort of shooting the breeze here a little bit. So one of the things here is that we've been pretty much every man and his dog that looks at Elliott has got this count to the upside in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here. Now we can look at wave 5 well up, let's just say up here for the moment, and we could look at this as we'll just look at this for a moment as wave 1 here. If that was the case, then we would have some sort of ABC coming back at least to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree, let alone the 50-60% retracement level, and move up if that was bullish at that particular point in time. But what we're seeing is that not so much on the on Ethereum, but on this market here, we've got this little high here, which is higher than this little move here, and it doesn't finish off here in 5 waves. So it kind of leaves us with a situation of just borrowing this for a moment and putting this over here as a little wave 1 here, and then a wave 2 at this point. So as long as that low stays in here, then we'll probably be looking at this going up here as 3, 4, 5. Now it doesn't have to be a huge move to the upside because wave 3 here has got the extension in it. So that means wave 1 here and wave 5 can be roughly the same length. Now that depends on how far wave 4 pulls back and so on. So, but yeah, I mean, we should be up further with this. So as long as that low stays in place, we'll take a closer look at this in a moment. As long as that low stays in place, we can climb up here a little bit higher. And then we would put this wave 1 over here. Now, I still haven't justified why I've said this, but I'm going to in a moment. So it's a little bit like this. So we've got these options here, is that we can come back for an ABC here. It's plausible at this point. If this low here is breached, then that's what's going to occur at that stage, right? If that's not the case, if this low stays in place here, then we're going to go for 3, 4, and 5 up here. And then we'll have some other type of correction coming into play, and then we'll be going further up at that point, and we'll be in a bullish run. Now, when I showed you the S&P, that bearish count, that's okay, but I've got 2 bullish counts that are in play. And you know, when one of the reasons that I am bullish is because I'm looking at Apple here, and I got 5 waves up off the low here. And, you know, this is not a standalone situation here either. You know, we've got Tesla here, which is a little bit tricky to see on this one, so it's intraday here, but let's just go to, I don't know if I've got the daily chart here in the right place or not, but the thing here is that this move that's come down here, as I've always mentioned, is corrective, and now we're seeing 5 waves up here, you know. So if we get 5 waves in the opposite direction of the trend coming down, then after some type of correction here, I'm just dramatizing it, then it will be going further up at that point. Because we've got 5 here, we'll get another 5 up here. Now, sure, that could just be a B wave up here, you know, as an A, B, C, and we come, you know, we come back down again. That's all possible as well. And that requires other story. But the simple fact that we've got 5 waves here, that means we're going to get another 5. So if Tesla's not going to go up there by itself, it's going to take Apple with it and all those guys, and Nvidia and so on. So that means the NASDAQ will go. That means that little Bitcoin will be, you know, have its head in the clouds. So yeah. So what I want to do now is that. So whichever way you want to look at this, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. That's the bottom line at this point. If we've got 5 waves here, it's likely that we've got an ABC correction. If that low holds here, we're going to go in and have a look now, then we'll look at this going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. It doesn't have to be that big or go up to 30k or anything like that. Wave 3 could be, you know, just the same length as wave 1, and wave 5 could be a little bit shorter than wave 3, you know. So we just need to see how it goes. Or it could really pump up there. I mean, you know, we know Bitcoin, it has its moments. So if we just go in and have a little look at this area here for a moment, on the, I think 5k will do the trick. So the thing that I find sort of interesting here is that this little move here has got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up here. So then I've got this. I suppose that I could. I suppose I could go 1 and 2 here, and then go to wave 3 here, have an A and a B and a C, or a WXY for wave 4 here, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But see, what I'm trying to say is that this is the high here. So we could put wave 1 here, and then we'd have a simple A, B, and C wave here for this, right? That's probably what I would do. You could, I think Kitty Upon, who puts out oodles of crypto charts each day, and he's got a better view of the crypto market, because, you know, he's doing, you know, a dozen altcoins and so on. So he's, you know, he's getting a wider view than I am these days of Bitcoin and all the intricacies of it. So I'll need to have a look at what he's done, but the natural thing would be to do some sort of WXY here for this, but I don't particularly like doing that for wave 2s, to be honest. But so I would probably just go to this point, but I'd need to rehash all of this here as well to figure that out. But the other interesting point here is that, like I said before, as long as this low stays in place, then we can go up from here. If this low is breached, then we're going down for this. We're going down for this wave 2 back down towards the 20 area here. Okay, that's that simple, and we can put that wave C here for that, and we could put this, because we could do this lots of different ways really. But what I would do is just put wave A here, wave B over here, and look at it like this here, because I'm just a simple person. But what you can see here is you can see a little 5-wave move here. So really we can, and we've probably had a nice sharp move back here, so we can push up from here, right? So we'll just see how it plays out here. So we've got wave 4 here with 1 and 2 here, and then that would take us up to, as I mentioned before, wave 3, 4, and 5, and we can have a top in over there. That would probably put us, it'd kind of put us in line with the DAX and the euro dollar and those sorts of things. So And this would also, when this top comes in here, just by the by, the US dollar index will be very close to having its top in place at that point too. So let's just see how this plays out. So there's a good chance to have this as wave 1 and 2 rather than having this here as wave 1 over here. But it's not out of the race yet, you know. So if this market pushes up, you know, makes a new high above here, then you know that you've passed this B wave here. Okay, then you can eliminate that, because that's pretty much how things work. You get all the counts that you possibly can that fit, and then you eliminate them one by one. And at the end of the day, you're just looking for trade setups. So yeah, that's what we've got at this point. And if it pulls down here, well, that's good too, really, because it gets a big question out of the way much faster than having to move up to here to wave 1, you know, because it would have to wait to get up to there to wave 1, and then we'll need an ABC correction to confirm that we're going higher at that point, you know, because we have to move past the NASDAQ and the S&P and all of that having, you know, wave 1 down to here, and then having an ABC back for wave 2 here. So yeah, so I mean, we expect this to come down here further. It's if we get support on 4,000, then we're going a tested support on 4,000, then we're going up from that point, and it's not tested support yet, even though we can make one more high then come down. There's a few scenarios to play out here, but and we'll look to go long at the right time on all of this. But yeah, look, if we do get 5 waves down here, then we'll end up, the only reason we'll go short, because there's still a bullish count. Even if we do come down here, there's still a bullish count that the market can go up from that point. But if it's wave 2, it'll be an ABC pattern here, and we'll look to short the B wave here. So this will be the same as the NASDAQ, and then we'll also be looking at the same for little Bitcoin falling out of bed as well at that point. So, and we'll just see how we go with this. And yeah, but yeah, can't confirm the bullish move just yet for the markets in general. And like I may have said, one of the markets will top out when this is the US dollar here. So the US dollar is basically from the 100 area here. We're looking for an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave up here, and in that C wave we're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when this tops out here, that's when we expect the stock market to bottom out, and then we'll push up, and that means that Apple will push up. When this tops out, Apple will push up, Tesla will push up, all of those sorts of things. So this is the clock, this is the timing of, you know, follow the money, as they say. So that's generally the picture that we're looking at this moment with all of this. Three, 4, and 5 going up here. So when this tops out, this is where we'll be going long in the stock market at this point. But we need to confirm it once it does top out that we're going down at that point, you know. So we'll see how that how this plays out. And getting 5 waves down here, that will be our short for the US dollar, but that will create the longs for the euro dollar, the Aussie dollar, most of the pairs, the stock market, gold, all of those sort of things, and a little Bitcoin. It'll be on that, in that space as well at that point. So it's kind of good to understand this in a way. And can this change as we're moving through here? Possibly. And if it does, well, then we'll make changes. You know, we need to move and groove with it all. But as it stands, this has been a pretty long-standing count that we've had, and it's just continuing to do what it's told and expected, rather. And yeah, all is good. So that's that. Let's see where what happens to Bitcoin. But generally speaking, it's all looking pretty positive. Okay, cheers.